Welcome to my channel. My name is Carla and I am the Stitchy Witch and I live in Scotland, and today is the day I'm going to update you on the progress I have made on my projects for the month of March. I'm here a little bit early because I have a few things to do at the end of this month, so I won't be able to sit down and record a video. But I hope everybody is keeping well and that you all are enjoying your stitchy time. So this month I have a total of 7 projects to show you. Last month I was saying to everybody that I wanted to just focus on a few pieces and like maybe 2 or 3 and try to get the progress in. And I have managed to focus on one of my main pieces, which is the HAED SAL, Heaven and Earth Designs Stitch Along. So that went pretty well and I managed to get quite a few stitches in that. And I was thinking that I wasn't going to really pick up any of the others, but I just seemed to be they just were calling to me, so I ended up working on most of them anyway. So yeah, that was quite surprising because I didn't expect that to happen. So I shouldn't be too shocked, because often I think to myself, well, you know, whatever I say at the beginning of the month is not what I actually do for the rest of the month, so it shouldn't come as that much of a surprise really. But anyway, it's probably a good thing, right, that I got round to touching them, most of them anyway, because yeah, well, it can't be a bad thing, let's put it that way. So I'm going to show you, not in any particular order, but here, mostly for those people who are new, possibly, I'm a full coverage stitcher. So if full coverage isn't something you're interested in, probably not going to be that interested in my projects. I tend to have a variety of sizes of projects, from my largest being just under 400,000 stitches to my smallest being around 40,000 stitches. So I do quite fair, I would call them fairly large ones. And I started stitching large charts around, I think it was 2020 or 2019, somewhere around there, and I hadn't even heard of them before then. So yeah, I am basically a full coverage stitcher. I find that's what I'm more drawn to, that's what I like to stitch, and even though I have got other bits and pieces and a few kits and things, I still find myself being drawn back to the full coverage quite often. So anyway, no particular order, I'm going to go through the progress that I have made this month, which I'm actually quite pleased with. I didn't think I was going to actually get as much done. So we'll start with the biggest then, shall we? Because this is Riverwalk Charm. It's by Heaven and Earth Designs. I'm not going to mention all the designers. I'll put that in the information box below because it's just regurgitative saying it every single time. A lot of people already know who, already seem to know which chart comes from which, if they're regular viewers, which chart comes from which designer. So this is Riverwalk Charm. It is, I call it my largest, but it doesn't any longer have the largest amount of stitches left to do because I've been plugging away at this one since 2020, I think it has been. And this month I didn't get that much done. I only got 350 stitches done. But you know, not to be sniffed at least I managed to touch it. And here is where I've been working. So I've been working a little bit around this area with where this tree is. I will be putting pictures on the screen of all these charts. So that is where I've been working. And I think it's really got a lovely romantic kind of dreamy look, hasn't it? I really like it. And if you want to see the big beast itself, there we go. Oh my goodness, there are so many hours put into that. It's unreal. I just can't imagine. Imagine just not finishing it. It would be a crime, wouldn't it, really? So I have to just keep plugging away at this, but it is just so big. Yeah, so that's Riverwalk Charm. I've got 300 stitches in that. And so that brings it a total to 57.35%, which I think is pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. So no particular goal in mind about when to finish it or anything like that. I'm just sort of you know, trucking along as and when I feel like doing it. If I start setting goals and plans for finishing these, it just doesn't happen. It just kind of, it has the opposite effect of putting me off, and then I just don't pick it up, and I don't really like when that happens because I want to feel the enthusiasm for my pieces. I think the only way I can do that is by allowing myself to, giving them enough time to call to me, kind of thing. So that's that one. Okay, and the next one I did actually get a few stitches on as well is called Fairy Whispers. This is another HAED, and it's a requester size, which means it's not the biggest and it's not the smallest, somewhere in the middle. And this one I got 560 stitches done. So again, one that I hadn't intended to pick up this month, and I did, even if it was just to get a little bit. And the colours on this are absolutely gorgeous. So I think there's a few people working this one. Just look at those greens. That's just going to look lovely on in my living room when it's done. I think it just looks lovely. But yeah, this one's pretty slow going because I have restarted it a fair few times, to be honest. I restarted it from 22 count back to 25 count because I feel like I really do prefer doing 2/1/10 on 25 count much more than I do any other fabric count or fabric size. I think 25 count for me is my go-to, and the 2/1/10 seems to be my go-to. I do sometimes flip from 1/1 full cross, one strand, to 2/1/10. And I seem to go back to the 1/1 like I've never done it before, which is crazy because for the last 5 years I've been switching between the two. I think it's possibly because sometimes you get a little bit bored of the method you're doing, you just want to switch it up a little bit. But I should know by now that 2/1/10 is my go-to on 25 count. That's kind of what I'm comfortable with. I get through it smoothly, faster and less, I don't know. I don't find it bulky working 2/1/10. But you know, I kind of do like that tapestry feel anyway. Oh gosh, this sun, I'm gonna have to shut the curtains in a minute, I think. But we have spring and we have sunshine, which is something I never thought I would see in Scotland. But I'm happy with that. So that's Fairy Whispers HAED chart. So I've done, yeah, what have I got at? 3.98% I'm at in total. So it's not a priority piece, and I'm not worried about it trying to get finished or anything like that. With no set goals. So I'm being very loose with everything. So I have set some pieces to be priority pieces, one of which is my Heaven and Earth Designs SAL, which I'm going to show you in a minute. First of all, I want to show you this one called Fairy. No, I've got Fairy on the brain. This is called Castle. Well, it's close to Fairies, Castles and Fairies. And it's a Stitches So Beautiful chart. I feel like I'm talking too quickly. It's probably because I already tried to record this video and the whole thing just didn't work. It just didn't record properly. So now I have to do it all over again. And I'm like trying to remember what I said, but thinking, don't remember what you said, just start fresh. But I'm so worried I'm going to miss something out. I'm trying to get out, so pardon me if I'm rumbling on. I'll try to slow down a little bit. So this one is called Castle, and it's, let's see, I've done a bit more on that this month. 1,180 stitches I have done, and it's now at 5.65%. Again, 2/1/10 on 25 count, and here is my progress. So I managed to make it to this end. I sort of skittered along my stitches down to here, and so I've got 3 points of interest now. So I can work at the beginning, I can work in the middle, or I can work at the end, and I find that quite cool. So let me just fold this so you can see it a little bit closer. Okay, I think that sun is going to have to, I think I'm going to have to close the curtain. So a bit of a mountain coming in down there, which is really nice. And I have been working on that piece there, the turret at the top. So it does need a little bit more to make it look a bit more interesting, but again, it's not a focus piece, not a priority piece, so it's just as and when I pick it up. Whether it comes out next month or not, I do not know. I'm not going to make any plans. Right, I'm just going to go and deal with that sun, if you bear with me for a second. Okay, so that took care of the crazy sun that was coming in the window there. Right, so now I'm going to show you one of my favorite pieces. Now, this chart I absolutely love completely. And I always think to myself, if I could go monogamous on any piece, I think it would be this one because I just love it. And I have made a lot of progress on this one. Or maybe I haven't had that many stitches. Let me see. What did I do? No, not a huge amount, not too bad. 1,392 stitches on this piece, and it's called Vatican Sunset, and it's another Heaven and Earth design. I think it's a Thomas Kincade actually, which is really nice. Do like his pieces. Again, 25 count, 2 over 1/10, and here is my progress. And I think you have to agree that that is pretty impressive looking, stunning. I really, really love it. I'm a real sucker for landscapes anyway, and buildings and landmarks and stuff like that. So where have I been working? I have been working on this part of the sky and these little windows here as well. I think I've got another window in. That's where most of my stitches went. So I'm kind of, at the moment, I'm kind of working across rather than down. But just look at those purples there. Gorgeous. It really is. Really is lovely. I just keep staring at it because you can't really appreciate something when you're working on it. But once you hold it up like this and you look at it through the camera, it really does look quite nice. And there's not much I can say about it except that I'm really enjoying stitching it. And I am doing it sort of limited cross country. I started doing blocks down here, but yeah, I've kind of done away with doing blocks and rows and things like that. I can't seem to go back to them now that I've started on cross country for a while. So yeah, Vatican Sunset is one of my favourite pieces. I think it's because I went to the Vatican. I think I mentioned this on a video. I went to the Vatican and I saw the Pope coming out and doing his mass at the window, and it's just amazing when you see all the people coming straight into the square to listen to the mass. And I mean, the whole square is absolutely empty until the Pope comes out, and he comes out onto the window. He shows himself through a window or something. And then he does his mass, which the whole square can hear on loudspeakers. And all of a sudden, there's like thousands of people. And then the next minute, when he's finished his mass, which I think only took about 10, 15 minutes, everybody just disappears. They'll just scatter. It's really weird. It's like, where did they all come from all of a sudden? It's just like, how could they all be there so quickly? It's quite amusing. But we sort of went past in a coach and just caught that. So it wasn't time to explore or anything, but I've heard it's a pretty fantastic place to go to. But yeah, so this is my piece, and I think I'm going to love putting this one up on the wall, but it's going to take me ages. I don't think it's even a focus piece. It's not a priority piece, but it's somewhere below the priority pieces, if you know what I mean. It's not right at the bottom, but it's not at the top, somewhere in the middle. So I have to pick this one out every month. I can't help myself. I do love the castle one as well, but I see because I'm a bit more further along on this one, it's kind of calling me a little bit more than the other one. So that one will more than likely come out again. Oh God, what happened to my hair today? Oh dear, sorry. It's just not looking. I can never get my hair to look neat. I think I just need to go and shave it all off or something drastic. Okay, so the next one I want to show you is my Heaven and Earth Design SAL. This SAL started in January, but it was given out a few days before the end of December by Heaven and Earth Designs, and I really didn't want to do it initially because I tried the 2024 one, which was called, the one that I chose was called Astro Cat, and I didn't really, I thought I liked it at the time. But then as I was stitching it, it wasn't growing on me, let's say. I found it a bit of a chore to do that one. But I did manage to get the 4 pages done on it, or whatever it was you needed to get was it 6 pages? I can't remember. I think it was 4, and to get the other charts, which I do have the other charts, of course I don't really want to stitch on them. The chart that I do like out of those is one called Tinton Abbey, if you remember, and I think I've seen a finish of it, and it's pretty beautiful. But there's a lot of brown. Again, I seem to be drawn towards buildings, but they've always got a lot of brown. So I thought to myself, shall I do it? Shall I not do it? And then I decided in the last week of December not to do it. And then on the 30th, I think it was just before the cut-off date, whenever that was, I went in and I just purchased it. I don't know why. I think it's just because I like the whole community aspect and, you know, updating my progress, seeing everybody else's progress. It's just fun. So I got the HAED SAL 2026 and I chose Battle, which is the ship. It's the pinky ship. And I started it and I thought to myself, if I don't finish it this year, I want to get most of it done, is what I said. Yeah, famous last words. But hey, I surprised myself this month because I did a whopping 8,608 stitches, which is not to be sniffed at. And I put a picture up of what it looked like at the end of last month when I showed it to you. And then I'll show you how it looks now. So this is my progress, which is the best way to show you here. So I have done a lot on this, not just a couple of hundred stitches, 8,600 stitches, which is basically from this point all the way down and all of that. And I'm doing it, well, I suppose you could say limited cross country because I'm not exactly going extreme all the way around. But it does feel a bit extreme to me sometimes when I'm, especially when I did this bit, I was thinking, oh my God, I better stop there, otherwise it's going to be extreme. And there is a lot of ninjas in here, just warning you. Well, I don't suppose I need to warn you because if you already picked it and you're doing it, you will know that there's a lot of ninja stitches in here. And it takes a long time to go finding them all. So I like this one because I like Elizabethan period and it looks like an Elizabethan ship. And it's really moody and I'm a moody person. One day I'm up, the next day I'm down, and that's like a ship bobbing along the water up and down. And it's just got character. I like things that have like a story or a character. So yeah, I'm pleased with that progress. So am I going to continue making it my priority piece? Well, I think I should because it is a 2026 stitch along. So I think I should just keep stitching along, even if it's not going to get finished. And I think because I've started here, I was going to go that way, but that's all sky. So I thought if I leave that to the end, actually I'm not sure now, because if I leave all the sky to the end, is that going to be a bad idea? Will I get tired of doing sky, or is it a good idea because I'll have done all the crazy bit, which is the ship? Who's to know? But anyway, I think if I do a bit of both, which is what I have been doing, so I've been going in here. When I'm a bit tired, I've been doing, if I'm not in the mood for the ninjas and confetti, I go here and do a more blocky stitch. And if I'm okay with doing one here and one there and one everywhere, then I go into this bit. I think that kind of works. So actually stitching it depending on mood makes sense. And if I go do this page, that page, the 2 pages down here. Wait, is that 2 pages I've done? I've done nearly 2 pages. See where these few squares are? If you have like a bit of a line going down like that. So that's 2 pages and then 2 pages at the bottom. And I could do 2 pages at the bottom here. That'd be 6. Or I could go back up. I don't know. But anyway, probably more than likely be continue down here. And then when I've done this side, everything, see this hand is opposite to what I'm seeing on the screen. Once I've done this side, I can go to that side and start from the top, maybe. But yeah, we got great progress. I mean, I really can't complain about that. I think it's looking fantastic. I like it. It's not my usual choice of colours. I'm not hugely into the like dusky pink, although this spring I seem to be more into pink. I've bought some pinky thing going on in my bedroom at the moment, which is very unusual for me because I'm not really into the pastel-y kind of, I prefer a bit stronger colours or darker colours, but not the pinky pastels and that. But now in my bedroom I got some curtains that I've got a bit of a pink shade in them, and now everything else has to match. And I got a nice subtle pink duvet cover, which I don't think my husband's that happy. He's not that, well, he's like, okay, whatever. Pink pillows, pink covers, pink pillowcases, everything's pink. I said, you just have to find your inner pinkness. It doesn't matter, because as soon as he gets in the bed, he just goes straight to sleep anyway, so it's never going to affect him. So that's my battle. Very pleased with that. I think I'll put it back there. So that one will get quite a lot of progress, I would hope. I'm hoping anyway. I never like to really plan things, because I never know which way things are going to turn. Oh, and I do have 2 new charts to talk about in a few minutes, and I will tell you about them. But first, I want to show you one that I was talking about maybe 2 videos ago, I think. It's hard to remember now. And it's called Gracious Era, and it's a kit by Dimensions. I'll put the picture up. Started this one maybe a couple of years ago. And I got to a point on the top right of the chart, which really threw me off, because it was the chart symbols. And we're talking about paper chart here. The chart symbols were all these little green and blue triangles. And I just could not differentiate between the green and blue triangles. Exactly the same symbol, just green and blue, but not even a vibrant green or a vibrant blue. Very similar in shade. So it's like, as soon as and little tiny things, and I just went, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to do this. It's like a whole half a page where the tree is and the sky. So I had a lot of trouble trying to read it. So I put it away, as you do, and said, you know, I tried to find other methods and ways of doing it, but I couldn't. So my husband got a bigger version printed out, and he put a little mark on all the green ones so that I could tell that it was a green one just by a little dot or something. And it was like, it made such a difference, because now I can say, look, I'm not just looking for the colour, I'm looking for something that's more apparent. So then I was able to differentiate between the two, and that kind of helped. So I'll explain to you what I'm talking about here. So here is Gracious Era, and it's this section here, on the very last page, that square. This is a big tree, and all these up here, there's like 3 colours, and they go all around this sort of area, and they're blue and sort of a greyish blue and green, and it drove me crazy, but I managed to do it, managed to get a few in. I just wanted to prove that I could do it. So this one hasn't been a, you know, kick it to the curb kind of project. It's been, well, now I'll get it out and see if I can actually follow the chart again, which I did. So I'm okay. I'm like, okay, we're not going to UFO you now. We're going to keep you in the picture, but I don't know when I'm going to get back to it. I've noticed that I don't really like stitching now on this 16 count. I'm finding it hard to keep it even taut in the Q-snap frame. And I do like it sort of drum tight. That's what I do like. But yeah, that little bit there, just for that little bit there, I nearly just put it away to never be seen again. But it's so nice, and I've done so much work on it, it would be such a shame. It's like half a chart done, at least, if not a bit more. I have kind of finished a lot near the bottom as well. So that's looking really pretty. So that's been salvaged and saved. Yes, thank goodness. I really don't like UFOing things, but you know, sometimes when you don't have a lot of work done on them, and you think, oh, I'm not enjoying it, that is the time to actually stop. Not when you've done like 50% or above. I think then it's like a real shame to not pick something back up. And I couldn't convince my husband to do that part for me. He wasn't playing nice. Oh, he did do like a couple of stitches, and then he just like, there you go. That's how you do it. But what can I say? Cross stitch isn't really his jam. So those are the ones that all got touched this month. So we got, oh yes, and I also wanted to show you one. There's not much to show you actually. I don't know if there's even any point, but I did restart. I did do a little bit, hold on. Let's just rewind a few seconds. I did a little bit more on Sad Fairy. I did quite a lot of her in January, December and January. She was a focus piece. Then I got a bit burnt out and I put her away and I thought, no, I can't do it again. And okay, just a sec, because my cat needs to go out. She wanted to go out and come back in. And now she's up on the other sofa. She kind of got her head tucked under. Okay, so Sad Fairy is another Heaven and Earth design, and I did do some this month. I did about 1,300 stitches. She wasn't going to come out this month. When I say is she a priority piece, sometimes. Depends on the weather. But I have worked a little bit on her this month. Like I said, they all seemed to call to me, and I was in good enough mood to pick them out and not tell them to be quiet. So here's this one. Oops. So yeah, she's. I can hear you saying you need to finish her. She's almost there, but we're still talking about 50 or 1,000 stitches left, so it's not to be sniffed at. And let's have a look. Down here is where I worked around her wing. Oh, I love this. I just think it's lovely. The colours are so dark and moody, like me, dark and moody. Much brighter this side. Yeah, so this is actually a DMC fabric which came with some strange pink grid, and I washed it off because I didn't like it straight away, and it made it a lot softer, but I didn't have the grid. So now I've had to use my friction pen, which is fine. I'm okay with that. But yeah, she is now at 74.07%. So I don't want to put a time frame on getting her finished, but I would like to see her finish in the next couple of years at least. So yeah. The thing is that I tend to then think, oh, I want to finish her, and then I go like guns blazing at working on her, and then I burn myself out because then I hardly do anything else. It's probably the worst approach to take, because then you just get a bit sick of it. Because there is a lot of crazy branches and thorny bushes and stuff like that, which are not, a little bit tedious after a while. But yes, she will be done one day. She will be done one day. And going back to the other one that I wanted to mention, I nearly said Moonwalk. I don't know why I was thinking Moonwalk. I was thinking of Moon Witch, which is one I started last year for my birthday and Halloween. And it's a freebie by Artecy. Was a freebie by Artecy. It was in the files in their Facebook group. I don't know if it's still there. How many stitches did this have? It's only like 61,000 stitches in total. And I did like 170, hardly anything. But I started her again on 25 count. Why do I say her? Oh, it's a Moon Witch, okay. I keep doing this he, her thing. So 179 stitches in there. Nothing much to see. That's all just like black and a bit of 823. Top left corner, very exciting. 179 stitches, but it's a start, it's a restart. I started it on 20 count 1/1 single strand, and I didn't want to continue that way. So I thought, hey, I'm going to go back to my 25 count, tried and trusted 25 count and 2/1 tent. And you know what? I don't find it that, I can understand why people think it's bulky to do 2/1 tent on 25 count. That's fair enough if you find it so. But I find it fine. I just, probably because I don't carry threads. I don't know if I can find an example. I don't carry long threads everywhere. So if you look here, you'll see that I don't go like carrying a thread from here to up there or anything like that. So it's not too bad. Okay, it does look like a short furry animal, but it doesn't look like long strands that are going across. And I think that helps with reducing the bulk. Because if I'm doing ninja stitches, and it does mean more work, because if I'm doing ninja stitches, say there's a stitch and then there's the same color 12 stitches away, I probably won't go with the thread. I'll probably end the thread and go and start again in that new stitch 12 stitches away. And that takes more time because you're ending and then you're starting, and then you have to do the next stitch, which isn't that far, but it takes a little bit more effort, and it might be a little bit like, oh God, I've got to end this just to go over there. But not carrying too far all the time, especially if you're using 2 strands, is the key to keeping it a bit, so it doesn't get so unruly, so crazy. And I find that it's more manageable to do. I think for me, the difficulty is when there's too much confetti and ninja stitches. Like when you get something like 100 different colours within, I don't know, two squares. It's like, it's just crazy. You're stopping, starting. Of course it's not going to look like a furry animal at the back. How can it not? But you just have to find a way around it, I guess. So that's that. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about is the new charts, which there's always going to be at some point new charts, isn't there? Because that's what we love to do. But this caught me completely by surprise because I wasn't expecting it. And I think that's the nicest surprise, when you're not expecting a chart and then you see something just hit you and you think, oh, and it doesn't happen to me that often, to be honest. I'm quite selective now than I used to be. I used to just go for everything and anything that was coming along. But now I'm just like, no. And eventually there's like a yes. Or I spend more time thinking about it. So I was looking through the Facebook page, and up popped on the Heaven and Earth Facebook page, Mary Queen of Scots. And if you know me, or if anyone knows me, I love Mary Queen of Scots. She's my favourite queen. I have studied her, you could say, obsessively. And I probably know more about Mary Queen of Scots than I know about myself, to be honest. I think probably so, because I even know how her life ended, and I don't know that about me yet. But anyway, she's always fascinated me. And up popped on the Heaven and Earth Designs page is a Mary Queen of Scots chart. And I thought, oh, this isn't, I mean, I know the picture, but seeing it charted, I thought, actually, I really like that. Now, there's a lot of black because, yeah, that's just, in those days they used to do these old portraits and used to wear black. Or was she in mourning then? No, she wasn't in mourning, because the picture that I'm most familiar with is the one where she's in mourning and she's wearing a white veil and she kind of looks a bit like a nun. But in this one, she's still wearing a black dress and the background is black. So it's 36,000 or so, 310 stitches, so that's going to be a lot to get through. Fair enough. But I went and I chose the mini, and I think it came out in the mini and in the large or regular, and I just had to go for the mini because I just can't start another large one. I just don't think I can get through another large one. And I'm quite happy to just put her up, as a token piece of my, modern affection for her, let's say, because I feel like I know her very well. Like her palace is just up the road, if you know what I mean. And when you know so much about someone and you've obsessively read about them, you just feel a little bit of a connection. So in honour of her, I've put her up in my hallway a little bit. And like, my husband's not that impressed. He's like, what do I want to see that on the wall for? I said, well, don't look, is my answer. But fair enough too, because I mean, if you put up something like a picture of a racing car or something, I'd be like, not sure about that. So I can understand that he doesn't want to see an old, gloomy picture of an old queen, Tudor queen. Well, she wasn't a Tudor queen, she was a Stuart queen. But there is a little spot in my hallway that I can put her in, and I've got loads and loads of wall space in this apartment because I've said before, it's a Victorian building. It was built around the 1900s. I've got a beautiful 3-bedroom, quite spacious apartment. And we converted one of the rooms into an office stroke craft room. And I love the tall, high ceilings, and the big windows mean that you get loads and loads of light. As you can see, loads of light flooding in during the day. When you do get the sun in Scotland, it's really quite glaring. And the ceilings are pretty tall. So my ceilings are like 13 feet. To show you there. Keep going. Yeah, so they're like massively high, in that I can't get up there unless I get the ladder out, and even then I can't go up on the ladder, so I need my husband to go up, and he can barely reach the light bulb. So, but it adds so much character to the place. The tall ceilings make it feel spacious, adds so much character. And what was my point? Yeah, so I've got a load of wall space because of that down my rather long hallway, which is quite high. So I could put, I don't know, I could put like 30 framed pieces all the way up, all the way along. But yeah, there's lots of space. So I can't say I don't have the wall space, because I do. But yeah, I'll make a little spot for her, maybe just outside the bathroom. And yeah, so that's why I chose Mary Queen of Scots, because she's my favourite queen. And her little tragic life is very sad. So on to the next chart that I got, and this again I purchased quite randomly, and it's a Leonid Afremov, and you probably have heard of this designer. It's again a heaven and earth design, and I've looked at quite a few of them, of the Leonid Afremov. I actually own a chart called Melody of the Night. I think Melody of the Night might have been an Artecy one, and I started it and I got crazy, like with the confetti. I just couldn't, and I was overwhelmed at the time as well with so many, that I just thought, no, I'm not going to get through this. And it was a large one I think I got. I thought, I can't do it, I just can't. So I stopped doing that one, but I still love the design. But I didn't want to get another, because I think a lot of them are quite similar, to be honest. But then I saw this one, and I thought, you know, I like this one because it has a difference. It's got like a dark side and a light side. It's like day and night, which I thought was really interesting. And just the effect of it, the subtle difference, I thought is quite nice. But I kind of wanted something to balance that darkness of the Mary Queen of Scots. I want something more vibrant to go in a different room, something more spring-like. So yeah, with lots of nice colour. I want to organise the threads of all these bright colours, because spring is here. I think that's probably it, because I'm feeling, you know, feeling the warmth and the brightness. And so that's the one I got. So I got a mini again because I don't need another large one. And the design is such that I don't think the detail, being the kind of art that it is, there's no tiny little details in it. I looked at the mock-up of both this one and the Mary Queen of Scots, and there isn't tiny details. Of course, it's going to be more crisp when you do a large one, but yeah, you have to, for me, it's always compromise. Do I want to make the effort to do the larger one, or can I compromise in time and be happy with the smaller one? And in both these cases, I'm happy with the smaller one. There are lots of minis that I wouldn't touch because I know that the quality will be too affected. However, it really is up to you, your own personal, you know, preference, whether you can be happy with the detail or not. That's all I can say. Like, I wouldn't probably do one of the shelves in a mini because of the lack of detail. But I can understand why people would, because they don't want to spend, I don't know, 10 years doing it. So that's fair enough for them. So it's all about personal taste. So I'm quite happy to go with the mini for both these charts. I know that I'm more likely to finish them at some point if I pick up the mini than if I pick up the large ones, because I have found Riverwalk Charm at times to be a little bit like a chain around my neck. It's like, you know, I don't want to stitch on this, but I feel like I have to. I feel like I should, and all the rest of it. And I think not always do I feel like that. Sometimes I'm really raring to go to pick it up to stitch it. But just being honest, there will be days, you know, when you just think this has been around too long, and it's just nothing you can do because it's so big. And you're not going to start cropping something once you've already started stitching it and got like, you know, 60% or something. So anyway, I don't want to get back into that again, where I feel like something's taking too long or it's just going to take too long. So at the point I'm at now, I'm pretty good at being more selective about what it is I start stitching, because initially I just got excited about everything. I started all the things, and then found that I couldn't do all the things. So compromises have to be made. And also because I feel like I need to be more careful about sitting for long periods. So I'm the kind of stitcher that stitches a little bit and then I go and do something else, and then I go out and I come back and I do this and I do that, and I stitch and then I go out and I come back. And I find that I integrate my stitching rather than have a life out, you know, have a stitching life and then do things outside of that stitching life. No, I prefer to have my life and then my stitching gets done in between it. Otherwise, yeah, my back suffers, my mental health suffers. And even though stitching is good for my mental health, it keeps me calm when I'm getting days of anxiety, etc., etc. It cannot be the only thing I do. I still need interaction and I still need, you know, stimulation in other areas. So I can't sit down for 8 hours. So those people who finish the HAED SAL, oh my God, you know, you are amazing, because I don't know how you can do 1,000 to 1,300 stitches a day to get it done in 6 weeks. I just, with all that confetti as well, I still keep thinking, how on earth? I think I spent one day trying to do a morning, an afternoon and an evening, and my eyes were like red. I was yawning tired. I was like stiff. I couldn't walk because I hadn't walked. I was just like, oh my God. And the last thing I could do is repeat that same day. So I don't know. It just beggars belief, but it's amazing that they can and that they make such a good job of it, because I would love to be able to just say, hey, I'll have this HAED SAL done by next, you know, beginning of next month, all finished. No. It's never going to happen. So, and I am doing tent and I'm doing cross country, so I don't know how they do it. I really don't. So folks, I think that is everything for my stitching and everything. Just show you how many hoops I've got here, because I think, look how colourful that is. Every size. So I still got all my Q snaps and I still use them sometimes, but right now I sit down in here with my family and I stitch in a corner. It depends on which piece I'm going to stitch on. Either use a big one or a medium or a small, depends on how much fabric there is. And I literally just sit here and I just two-handed stitching. I pick out from this side and then I take it out from that end, and then I pull from this end and pull out from that end. And it's just, you know, it's just that simple. It's just that simple for me. I can do it like that. I don't need the fussy frames, and I don't need, sometimes I will use my Lowry stand when my arms get a bit tired, but I don't need that much. And it means I can just put it down, pick up another one. It's just really quick. And I think when I use these clips as well, which I wanted to mention, it just makes it so much easier. So I just clip my little excess. So I kind of just sit here like that, and I hold it with my hand and I put it out this way, and then I punch it through, and then I put it out this way. So I really only just need to kind of balance it on my hand. Put it out this way, pick it out that way, put it out that way. So it's a little bit, you know, some people would prefer a static thing, obviously. I've kind of got used to just very quietly stitching two-handed like this, and then I can just put it down, and then I can just pick it back up again, and it's actually quicker. It feels more like a sewing method like that than when you've got it on the stand. I do use the Lowry every so often as well. I kind of combine between the two, you know, depending on the mood and how I feel. Anyway, that's enough rambling about stitching. So let me know which is your favourite, and also let me know if you would prefer the monthly video, which I kind of like because I get to surprise myself with what I'm working on and how much I get done, which I can come on and say, hey, look, I meant to do this, but I did this. And it seems to me to be a bit more interesting than coming on, you know, more frequently and saying, I just did 200 stitches on this, or I did 100 stitches on that. But if you'd like a bit more frequency, let me know and I'll see what I can do. Because now that spring is here, I feel a little bit more like human again. And, you know, I've come out of my cave and I've shed all my old skin. I feel less like a monster. I do tend to hibernate a bit during the winter, and I feel a bit more sociable, let's say. I'm not the biggest social animal, but I feel a bit more sociable in this time of year, coming up to the summer. So I could possibly try and get, it took me half a day just to set this up, you wouldn't believe, because on my box and everything, and setting up the camera and everything. And then the first recording didn't go well, but that's okay. Not your fault. I had to do it again, but that's fine. But yeah, it probably won't be as elaborate as this. If I do smaller videos, I might just have the camera pointing to my project. So that's it, guys, for that. And the other thing I did want to show you is some of the books that I've read. So I'm very much of a flitty reader. I can pick up a book, read a couple of chapters, put it down, pick up a different book, read a couple of chapters, put it down. I just don't know what's going on with that. I don't think it has a name. But the funny thing is I can retain all the information of a book. I can retain information of all of those books. I just seem to be able to. If I pick up the same book that I haven't read for 3 weeks, I'm like, I know what's going on automatically when I flick the page. And I remember what I've read previously, which is just uncanny because I forget everything else in my life. So this is a book. Which called Young Queens by Leah Redmond Chang, that I can't remember if I've read before, actually, which is one of the strangest things, because I have it ticked off in my spreadsheet that I've read it, but I can't remember having read it. I bought it in 2023, so it was not that long ago. I must remember some of the story, but I think I've read so many books about these characters that I'm mixing up which information went with which book, possibly. But even so, I picked it up again a couple of weeks ago, and I started reading it again. I thought, I don't remember reading this. Have I read this bit before? I can't remember. Anyway, I was enjoying it, so I just carried on. So it's highly likely that I've read this book, but even so, if I can't remember, it's like reading it for the first time. So this is about Mary Queen of Scots, Catherine de' Medici, and Catherine de' Medici's daughter, Elizabeth, who married Philip II of Spain. So it's all about the early 16th century, the young queens, more of the life story of Catherine de' Medici. Really, really interesting. Yeah, it's just sort of story that I love. It's not an easy read because there's a lot of, you know, talking about this king and that queen, and there's a lot of dates and this and that and the other. But then if you take it in small chunks, it's okay. I like to read it when I go to bed, actually. So I'm getting through that one, maybe for the first time, maybe for the second time, I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter. And the other one I picked up to start reading is called Sleepwalkers by Scarlett Thomas. I found the blurb on the back of this interesting. So this is about a couple that go on a honeymoon to Greece, and they're not exactly madly in love or anything. I think they're always fighting or something. But it's kind of strangely written. So it's more like she's writing to him in a letter. So the whole book is like a letter to her husband. And she's kind of griping about things all the time. And you said this and you did that. So it's a bit gripey. And then there's a backstory to it as well, because there was an accident. There was a couple that died. They were sleepwalking in the night or something, and they drowned. And so everybody in the island's talking about it, talking about the sleepwalkers, and the whole island's obsessed about them. And so this couple stayed at the hotel the year before and drowned in a tragic and unexplained accident. So I don't know how that hasn't come into it quite yet, because I'm not quite halfway through the book. Not a huge amount has happened yet, so I'm going to continue. And if nothing really happens, then I might drop it. But I don't really like DNFing books that much. And also the woman who owns the hotel, the narrator thinks is after her husband. So that should be interesting. Who knows? But yeah, it's kind of interesting, but it's not really getting anywhere yet. So I'm going to keep on with it and see. But I liked the idea of the sleepwalkers because it just sounded like an interesting subject to me. So I think that's it. I did a little bit of crochet, but not much. And yeah, the rest of it is just usual life stuff. Nothing else that interesting going on. So that's it, my friends. And I hope that you've enjoyed some of what you've seen. Let me know what you think of the projects and which one is your favorite or which one you like. And I hope you've enjoyed your stitching this month. So I'll be back again soon to talk more about my stitching and all the other stuff. So take care and I'll see you later. Bye.